Laws of Kiddush HaChodesh, sanctifying the new month. We are in chapter 3. Speak about witnesses now. Kiddush HaChodesh. Okay. When witnesses see the new moon, and there's a journey of the night and the day or less between them and the place where the court holds sessions, they should undertake the journey and testify. Timothy, let in. Thank you. Right, they should undertake the journey and testify. If the distance between them is greater, more than a night and a day, in other words, right, they should not undertake the journey. For the testimony that they will deliver after the 30th day will be of no consequence, since the month will already have been made full. So let's say, let's take for an example, yesterday was the first of year, today's the second of year. The day before that was the 30th of the previous month. So let's say the night of the 30th, right? The night of the 30th, you saw the new moon. It's going to take you that night and the day. So go. It's going to take you more than that. Don't go. Others reach to the court by the next day, somewhere during the day. So then the 30th day would be sanctified. If it's going to take you longer to get there, don't go. Because in any case, that following night, right, 24 hours later, or a bit less even, right, it's going to be sanctified because the 31st day has to be Rosh Chodesh. It can't be more than that, right? So be sanctified even without the witnesses, right? You're not going to be on the 32nd day, right? As we learned previously. So, yeah. The witnesses who see a new moon should journey to the court and testify, even on Shabbos. Look at this, right? Interesting, right? Travel on Shabbos, you could. Mm-hmm. As implied by the verse, in festivals you should proclaim in their season. So whenever they use the word season, the Shabbos prohibitions may be overridden. So would they be allowed to write handouts? Yeah. Well, we're going to go into more detail. Yeah, we'll see. Therefore, the Shabbos prohibitions may be violated only for the sake of Rosh Chodesh Nisan and Tishrei. Only for them. To commemorate the festivals in the proper season. Because when is a moyed? 2 times a year, right? Moyed mean holiday, festive holiday. Shavuos is the 50th day after 49 days of counting. That's what Shavuos is. So it's not based on the calendar, right? It's not based on a new moon. So that's but Pesach is, Sukkot is, even not just Sukkot, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot. They are, and since the word moyed means season, festival season, right? So on those two times, you can violate the prohibitions of Shabbos. In the era of the temple, the Shabbos prohibitions were violated for the sake of every Rosh Chodesh because the Musaf offering sacrifice on Rosh Chodesh, since its sacrifice supersedes the Shabbos prohibitions. Rosh Chodesh that fell on Shabbos, you bring On Rosh Chodesh, you bring a Musaf offering, right? Like we davened yesterday, Musaf, right? So you bring a Musaf offering. That Musaf offering is brought on Shabbos. So it supersedes Shabbos. Therefore, in the times of the Holy Temple, right, every month you could violate Shabbos in order to sanctify the new month. So then you would know which day you're bringing the Musaf offering on the altar. Fascinating. So just as witnesses who see the new moon should violate Shabbos to testify, so to the witnesses who substantiate their credibility should violate Shabbos to accompany them if the court is not familiar with the witnesses. We learned yesterday at a certain time the court would only take as witnesses people they knew, because there were too many people. You had the Sadducees, you had those who believed not in the oral tradition and just the written word, and they tried to sabotage things. So the only ones who believed were people that they knew. Now, what happens if someone he didn't know, but he had testimony? So he would take with him someone who the court knew and they had credibility by the court, and that person could also violate Shabbos only, and they're not even giving testimony of the new month, of the new moon rather. They're only giving testimony on this person who saw the new moon that he's credible. Wow. Even further, even if a single individual can testify regarding the witnesses, he should accompany them and violate Shabbos because the possibility they might encounter another individual who can testify together with them. Wow, even if it's just one witness. We know that it's two witnesses you need. Still, even that one witness come because maybe you're going to find another. Violate Shabbos. When a witness who sighted a moon on Friday night is sick, he may be mounted on a donkey and transported to the high court. Indeed, even if he is bedridden, he may be transported. Now, obviously, if you can get someone else to do it, he's not the only one who saw it. It's just giving us the parameter of the law. How important these witnesses are. Fascinating. Look at this. If an ambush waits them on the way, the witnesses may carry weapons. And the distance to the court is long, he may carry food. Now, does that mean you should go if there's an ambush? Look right here. The Sadducees who wait in ambush for the witnesses, fellow Jews, right? They were kanoim, zealots, with the intent of delaying the appearance in the court until after the 30th day passed. So these people waiting in ambush, so interesting. It wasn't to kill them, right? Because they were going Shabbos, they weren't going with money. They weren't carrying money, maybe carrying food because it's Shabbos, so they could only violate what they had to violate, like going beyond the Tlum, right? The 2,000 amos, you're not allowed to go beyond the city limits, right? Here they could carry food if they needed food because they're going to get hungry and they're not going to have the strength to go, so they can carry that, which they wouldn't be able to normally, right? Even a weapon. But it's not a weapon, it's just a weapon because the Sadducees, they're your fellow Jew, they weren't going to kill you, but they believe so strongly what you're doing is wrong. They were zealots that they would delay you on the way so that way you would get there late. So you can carry weapons, not to kill them, but to, hey, you want to get shot? Let me go. And they actually was not shot because they didn't have guns then. Right. Excuse me. Even if the moon is sighted with a large crescent, and one is certain that it was also sighted by many others as well, he should not say, just as we saw the moon, so did others. And there's no necessity for us to violate the Shabbos laws. Wow. Instead, it's every person who saw the new moon, who saw it fit, saw fit as witness, and who is within the distance of their night and day, or less, is commanded to violate Shabbos laws and go testify. You might end up there's others. It doesn't. This is the law, right? This is the law. This is what you got to do. Lacha number 5. Originally, the High Court would accept testimony regarding a new moon throughout the entire 30th day. Once witnesses were delayed, once it happened, the witnesses were delayed and did not come until evening. This created confusion in the temple, and the priests, Kohanim, did not know what to do. If they would offer the afternoon service sacrifice, a difficulty would result if witnesses in fact came. For it is impossible to sacrifice the Musaf offering on Rosh Chodesh after the daily afternoon sacrifice. That time, the High Court instituted the following Eid. Testimony regarding new moon would be accepted only until the time of Mincha, so there would be enough time for daylight hours to offer the Musaf sacrifice and daily afternoon offering and wine libations according to the sacrifices. Because you came after Mincha, that created a problem. Because you can't bring the Musaf after that. It has to be before that. So they institute you can only come to Mincha time, which is like an hour and a quarter before sunset. So if the time of Mincha arrives without witnesses having come, the daily afternoon offering should be sacrificed. If witnesses come after the time of Mincha, this day should be observed as a holiday, and the following day should be observed as a holiday. So that's how you get 2 days of Rosh Chodesh from back then, at least. The Musa offering, however, should be offered on the following day because the new moon should not be sanctified in the time after Mincha. You don't have Musaf after Mincha, like just like we daven now, right? You daven Shachris Shabbos, or yesterday we daven Musaf, right? If you let Musaf could be daven later on. Let's say you didn't daven, you had to run out from davening yesterday, right? You daven Shachris, you ran out, you didn't do Musaf. But then you did Mincha. You can't do Musaf then. You have to do Musaf before. Where does that come from? It comes from the offering on the altar. The offering of Mincha, you can't do Musaf offering on Rosh Chodesh. So if the witnesses came only after you brought the Mincha offering on the altar, you can't now do, but it still becomes sanctified because the witnesses came that day. But then the next day is also Rosh Chodesh, and you bring the offerings of Musaf on the altar the following day. Amazing. After the temple was destroyed, Rabbi Yechon ben Zakkai and his court instituted a decree requiring the High Court to accept testimony regarding the new moon throughout the entire day. Even a witness who came at the end of the 30th day before sunset, the testimony should be accepted. The 30th day alone would be considered a holiday. Why? Because there's no more sacrifices. The temple was destroyed. They had, after the destruction of the temple, there was still a High Court in Sanhedrin for maybe like 200 years. Something like 200 years. Right? So now, it didn't matter that the witnesses would come afterwards because there's no altar to bring an offering. So therefore, but that day would become Rosh Chodesh. And only that day. All right, I have to stop here. Fascinating stuff.
Thank you, Rabbi.
All right. God bless you. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Rabbi.